Everything's
I kept an eye to keep everything power.
power except these three.
Yeah, these are power.
I'm guessing they're power too.
They're power.
Most likely. It's labeled power on each one.
You've got a QR code.
Actually, they have.
Is this chocolate or plastic?
No, this is halava.
No, this
but
is
this-
plastic.
No, it's a plastic piece to tell you what's in there.
It's not that
So interesting.
You think your mother will want one?
Don't eat that.
Maybe.
Your brother?
Probably. Jonathan will always.
Oh, thank you.
Alba.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Morty, how are you? Baruch Hashem. Even though tonight we're supposed to learn Tanya, and I was going to teach Tanya, but then I decided, let's keep everything centered on Hanukkah because it's Hanukkah.
Yeah.
So we'll do everything around Hanukkah. Also, what happens is that sometimes people have parties, family parties, and they're regularly coming on Thursday night, and I don't want them to miss out. So we'll do a special thing on Hanukkah. Okay, Ellie, thank you so much.
Work for me. They go. They go over there.
Yeah.
Even better.
This for you.
Oh, fine.
Ellie for you.
You have two?
Yeah, we have plenty.
Toda.
Take a donut. It's really good stuff. They're fresh.
You must.
It's in the book also.
It's in the regular Reshimos book. Yeah, I just made a cabinet.
Okay.
Here. Thank you. Okay, Ari. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Amen. Actually, in the past few years, we've done on Hanukkah the Reshimos HaMenorah, as the Germans were able to, in speed of light, conquer basically France in a day. There were hundreds of thousands of Jews that all of a sudden felt that they were under threat. Their life was in danger. The Jews went from Paris, went to the south of France. There was a Vichy government. There was a puppet government. They were complete. They were they worked together with the Nazis. However, it was safer there for the Jews, and the Jews all went south. The Rebbe and the Rebbetzin also went south. They were there for about a year. And then they were able to travel through Spain to Portugal, and finally, the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin came here to safety, on what turned out to be the last boat going out of Portugal. So what was the Rebbe doing in that year? He wasn't in the Sorbonne anymore, and he wasn't anymore in Berlin. What was he doing in that year? So there is a rich. A whole bunch of notebooks that he wrote to himself, Torah that he learned, and Torah that he taught. There were many people that gave testimony how the Rebbe went around different places and gave classes, gave shiurim to try to uplift people's spirit, till they could. People were stuck.
Was there a Lubavitch presence before the Rebbe came?
Where
He was in southern France? That he had, or he was a.
there was in France at that time. The Rebbe had a cousin who actually had a son who lived not far from me, a very choshev person, a shneasim, who had
the one who had the shul?
Yeah. His father had an orphanage, and they saved many Jewish children. They saved many Jewish children during the war. Actually, I was at a doctor a couple of years ago, and in the waiting room there was another Jewish couple, a really old couple. So we were talking, we were waiting, and we ended up waiting for a long time. Turned out this guy knew the Rebbe when he was young, because the Rebbe used to help his cousin in the orphanage.
Wow.
And the orphanage managed to escape him to Switzerland, and that's how his life was spared. Anyway, the Rebbe was learning at this time, and the Rebbe was writing a lot because he had time. So there is the big fancy Reshimos HaMenorah that we did once. We didn't complete yet, but the Rebbe went through with all the opinions in the Beis Hamikdash. If the menorah stood east-west, south-north, how you lit the candle. But this is just a separate. I'm doing it as a standalone project, a little piece that the Rebbe wrote, an inspirational talk the Rebbe must have given on Hanukkah, 1940. Yeshna Gimel Minei Neid. The Rebbe says. By the way, the bold letters of the Rebbe was what the Rebbe wrote, and then the other letters that are not bold are who the publisher is trying to, because the Rebbe wrote it as a note to himself. As you know, the Rebbe's office was always piled with books. A short time, 2 weeks before the Rebbe had the stroke, the Rebbe cleaned up for the first time in 40 years. The Rebbe cleaned up his office, and he left in his drawer. He left 3-4 big notebooks of manuscripts that he wrote himself. Obviously, the Rebbe knew what he was doing. He left it, and then it was published. So the bold words are the words the Rebbe wrote, and this other words are the publisher. Okay. Yeshna Gimel Minei Neid is 3 types of candles. Number 1, the pasuk says, "Ki ata neidi Hashem." You're my candle. The Almighty is my candle. Ari, you'd like a copy?
I have.
Oh, you have? Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Second is Neir Hashem Nishmas Adam. We find that the pasuk says that the Almighty says that my candle is the neshama of a person. Third pasuk in Neir Mitzvah V'Torah Oir. So we see there's 3 types of candle. God is called a candle, the Jewish called a candle, and the mitzvah is called a candle. What does this mean? Neir Hashem wa Neir Delakus. God candle is the godly candle. Neir Hashem Nishmas Adam and Neir the Neshamas, the candle of the neshama. Neir Mitzvah Machabra. The candle of the mitzvah is that link that puts together the godly light and the neshama light. The word mitzvah is maloshen tzafza, means togetherness. How does a person become connected with the Almighty, with Hashem? What's the connection that a human being has with Hashem? So it's through the mitzvahs. Don't look in footnote 8 because I disagree. So, I got you looking. But anyway, I'm happy if you look. If you disagree with my disagreeing, first let me just give you a drop of background. Let me give you a little bit of background over here. He's saying here 3 points, and the question is what the Rebbe means. The Rebbe in the Yom brings this mashal of Chacham Gadol.
Who wrote the topics?
Rabbi Feldman. He lives in Crown Heights. He's the publisher. Unbelievable Talmud Chacham. The Rebbe brings Nayam a mashal. What's the mashal? That there was once a Chacham Gadol, brilliant guy. We're not talking Jew, not relevant here. It's a mashal. And there was he had a neighbor who was a shval anoshim, a simpleton. They had nothing in common. Not that the Chacham Gadol was haughty and couldn't get himself to talk to this lowly peasant, chas v'sholem, because that would be bad midas, and that's not what we're talking about. So let's move that aside. The hypothetical, it was a situation. They had nothing to talk about. They had nothing in common. They had nothing. They could talk with each other. Here, the Chacham Gadol needs something. His computer is broken. And he doesn't know how to fix the computer. So why am I giving this mashal? Because whenever I have a problem with my computer, I call my kids. They fix all my problems. So this guy, Daniel, is the opposite by you. You call your father, but I call Mookie to help me out when I have problems on computer. So this Chacham Gadol, he has a problem now, and he's going to the Shval Anoshim, so he could be the most brilliant man on planet Earth who's living today. But he right now needs help on a certain issue. He can't. And he's going to this person, he's knocking his door, and he says, "My friend, could you please come over to my house? Could you help me out on this project?" And the guy says, "Sure." He's flattered. The whole world knows this guy. This guy is a top professor. He's celebrated as the smartest guy on planet Earth. And he's his neighbor, but they have nothing in common. All of a sudden, he's coming over to his house, and all of a sudden they have a bond. Because the Chochem Gadol needs him, and he also feels, oh, he needs me. So I'm helping him. So all of a sudden, they have a relationship. All of a sudden, they're connected. That's what a mitzvah is. How does the finite and the infinite connect? By definition, finite and infinite don't connect. So how does Hashem and a human being connect? But that's what a mitzvah, the word mitzvah means tzaf savachibur, connection. When the Rebbeinu Shalom decided that he wants to have a dira b'tachtonim, he wants a dwelling place, dira lamata, he wants lamata in this world, a dwelling place, and the Jewish people will make this world a nice place, a dwelling place for him. So he needs them. So all of a sudden, when they do the mitzvah is the link of them and of the Almighty. Now, there's a golden rule in Chassidus, Yerida Tzorech Aliyah, that God will never lower someone just to lower them. If in life you find that you're going down a couple of steps, it means you have to bounce back. And when the bounce back has to be bigger than before, because if I lose $100 and I'm in agony and I find $100, well, I didn't gain anything. But if I invested $100 and I thought I lost it, now the return is $1,000. Oh, I made a profit of $900. So whenever the neshama goes down into this world, there has to be an aliyah. So the aliyah is lishtov al bagufa de malka. To become really one with the Almighty is only through coming this world and doing mitzvahs. Even in Gan Eden, and the best place where the neshama is, it's not really lishtov al bagufa de malka. It's an expression of the Zohar, to become one with the goof of the Melech Malcham Lochem. So therefore, that's why. So there's three candles. Hashem is a candle, the Jew is a candle, and then the mitzvah is a candle, and that's what glues together the two other candles. Hine, b'neir mitzvah gufa yesh gimel mitzvahs b'neir. When you're talking about a neir mitzvah, there's three mitzvahs with a candle. Neirot Beis Hamikdash, Neir Shabbos, and Neir Chanukah. There's three candles. These are three mitzvahs that you do with a candle. Biur inyan, menorah inyan Torah. The idea of menorah is Torah, keremez razal, as our sages say, haroitza lahachkim yadrim. Semonah menorah bedorim. So we see that the menorah is associated with smarts, which in generally is the idea of Torah, v'semonach menorah. Kebezen nirmezes, hashayches the menorah l'Torah, v'nirmez gam bazeh, shebenorah yesh. Shisha konim shemekabla menerem tzoy v'dugmose batoyra. Shisha sidrei mishna. Shisha konim v'hem mekabla metoyra shebeksav konim tzoy lokim toyra. Vayakol yuin gamkem mishimas abzoyra. It's interesting that Rebbe is referring to the other piece he wrote, the Reshimos HaMenorah, that whopping big piece that we once did. Yeah. So menorah is associated to smarts, which is Torah. Menorah has 7 branches. The middle branch was Torah shebeksav. And the 6 branches, the 6 Shtidrei Mishnah, and that's why the Amul Pnei HaMenorah, which is according to one opinion, the Pnei HaMenorah, the middle stick was the Pnei HaMenorah, and the 3 candles on the right and the 3 candles on the left, the wicks have to be tilted towards the middle, to show that the 6 branches is the Torah Shabbat Peh, Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, and they all get their energy from the middle, which is Torah Shabbat. Ner Shabbos, what's Ner Shabbos? Shabbos Nasa Allah sa oilamas. Inyan tefillah. K'moshe b'tefillah shebachol yom Allah hu ha'oretz Shabbos shebachol yom. The Shabbos is what is the whole idea of Shabbos? What's Shabbos? Shabbos is to elevate ourselves, to detach from the world, detox, unplug, to elevate ourselves spiritually. And that's the idea of tefillah. And in general, it's said in Chassidus that the tefillah every day is connected to Shabbos. Number 3, Ner Chanukah Unyan HaMitzvahs. V'lachein Sibosim Shel Neiris Chanukah he Meneiris Beis Hamikdash Unyan Torah. Just like mitzvahs come from the Torah. The Moshe mitzvahs on a Yodem HaTorah. Ela sheyesh gam chiluk b'neim. Shneiris HaChanukah also l'shtamish loyrem. He Neiris Chanukah Unyan Mitzvahs. V'tayim HaMitzvahs loynes galam. Hashem gein Torah. Shedugmasa him Meneiris Beis Hamikdash shibasoga davka. We sing in the literature that in the piece that we say in Neiris Alolu, v'yein lanu rishu liturgy, and lishtamish bohem. We have no permission to use the candle of. It's also lishtamish lo'odem from Ner Chanukah, because that shows you that the mitzvahs we can't understand why does Hashem want us to do the after these mitzvahs. Torah we understand those that are learning, for example, now Rambam. There's a dispute between two people about a property. It's logic. It makes sense. But so Torah by the Neres and Beis Hamikdash, it's a kol marav in b'mishamalila. So we don't find that should be also to have a noah from the Neres to the Beis Hamikdash. But the Neres and Menorah, it's also to have a noah. Okay. Fi omer shmenorah in Torah. Ner Shabbos tefillah, b'ner Chanukah mitzvahs, yishlavai rechil b'nei b'yachas lachiv d'anoshim v'noshim. I bet you when the Rebbe was talking here, there was a mixed crowd of men and women or something, because you'll see. Or maybe it was just two women. Neres Beis Hamikdash and Yonam Torah. The idea of the candles of the Beis Hamikdash, which we said is Torah, had lakosam be'zocher. Who lights the menorah? The male. The women are kohenim. They get to get certain of the gifts, but they don't do the avoid in the Beis Hamikdash. After the Eved Ulay Gam Benoshim Ksheira, the law imet the Kiddushin of Lamed Vav Then Advarim Mashiach and Lavedus Beis Hamikdash Shanaim Banoshim Vala Benoshim Mishum Shanema Bnei Adam Vala Bnei Sanim. The Rebbe says if you look at the Gemara Kiddushin, there's a list of things where it says Bnei Adam Vala Bnei Sanim. The Gemara doesn't mention that it's forbidden for a woman to light the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. So theoretically, perhaps a woman could light the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. However, we don't find that it should be mentioned that a woman ever lit the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash.
You should go in that part of the Beis Hamikdash anyway.
It's all questions. They have to bring out the menorah. Maybe how could a zor block shade of a zor? You have to bring it out. It's complicated. The Rebbe is just saying, like a side point, that theoretically it's not forbidden for the woman to light the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, but practically it was done by males. And the idea of Torah is noshim p'turas metalma Torah. Women are part of the Talmud Torah. They're allowed to learn Torah, but they're not obligated. The Beis Hamikdash showing you not Torah. Ner Shabbos is the opposite. Shenyonei tefillah ikra l'noshim. Look in the Gemara Shabbos Lamed Beis Aleph Berashi Areini Noshim Netztabel Kach. And beyad Chazok Rambam Hilchos Shabbos Perikei Alocha Gimel Noshim Metzuvas Al Dovez a Yoyse Min HaNoshim. Vayin Gamkin Shulchan Aruch Recham and Siman Reish Samach Gimel, where he says that the Noshim was always by Yoyse, that this mitzvah has a special connection to women more than when. Why Mishum the Noshim Chayav is B'Tfilah. Opening Gemara Brachas Chav Beis Mashenkim Banoshim Efshe Shi Etzlam Tzat Tur Im Toirosoi Umnosoi. Ready? A minute. Shepotem in Atfila Shabbos Yud Aleph Aleph. There's a concept in halacha called Tzat Tur. Right now I'm obligated to do it, but I have an exemption. If I want, I could really search between my documents and pull out an exemption. That's called a Tzat Tur. It's sometimes relevant. It's like a highly theoretical thing, when a person has a tzad p'tur. Every man has a tzad p'tur. What's tzad p'tur? Shimon Bar Yochai only did the tefillah once a month. Why? Because he was busy learning Torah. And the din is teirosum nas. A person that's busy learning is parted from tefillah. So today, there's no such person. A person would be embarrassed to come along and say, "Hey, here ye, I learn day and night. Sesame, I don't know. I never stepped into Sesame. I'd sit and learn 24/7. So I only do the prayer once a month." That's a joke. But theoretically, there was a time that there were people that they didn't pray. They owned Torasam Omnosam. Their umnut was Torah, and they didn't pray. But women are obligated to pray. They can't say, "Oh, Torasam Nosei." What do you mean? You're not obligated. If you want to learn, that's very nice. But prayer is an obligation. Huh? No, most poskim hold that women are obligated to pray and every day. So it's a shaila. But most of the Mishnah Berurah and Alter Rebbe passes in Zayin that the women are obligated to daven every day.
But the rices and it's just
they hold it's they hold no. It's if you hold it's their rice, then it's only it's sort. If you hold it's their abonon,
that's what I'm
right. So therefore the Rebbe says women are more connected to prayer. Now, before I came here tonight, I was talking to my children a little about this. So they said, well, obviously women are more connected to prayer. Women know how to pray. Men have a hard time prayer. Men have a challenge praying. Women are spiritual. They pray. Women are prayers. Men know concrete things. They can open a book, give them a computer, try to figure out a riddle. Women are spiritual. Women pray. So it's very simple. Men are connected to Torah. Women are connected to Tefillah. That's why the menorah, which represents Torah, is lit by male. The Shabbos, which represents Tefillah, to kindle the light of Shabbos, is dafka through female. ויש להמתיק יויסף, שנר שבס עיקר ניתן לנשים, בגלל שחוסן לתפילה יש לנשים, אפשר פצע פטור. תראה, some knock בהקדם. The mitzvahs ner Shabbos is בכלל Oineg Shabbos. In general, the candle of Shabbos is part of Oineg Shabbos. That's what the Rambam writes in the Yad HaChazaka, Shabbos Hey Aleph. Hine, Hodi, show me here. I have a copy for you at page 378. Show me, here's a chair for you, and here's the plate for you. So behegdem, the mitzvahs ner Shabbos are b'chlal Oineg Shabbos. Hine hode yesh the yesh mi shein terosam nasa v'esek v'omna so mishum the ksiva safte the genar hanik b'minig der eretz. Hashem can lost the love is yikum Hashem avarim the uzarim v'rod so and from lachtem nasam der cherem. Ne Yisrael hayasku b'teir mitzvahs mishkosav arichas b'yad ha'chazak hilchas tshuva sof perik tes v'ilchas malachim sof perik beis. It says that the Gemara says that there were two people, prototypes, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Shimon bar Yochai said, I'm not doing a day of work. I don't talk to me. I'll go into the office. I'm going to sit and learn. How am I going to pay the bills? Don't worry. Rabbi Shalom knows how to do direct deposit. And Rabbi Shmuel said that, no. Rabbi Shmuel said the person has obligated to go work. The person is obligated to blend the working and together with learning. The Gemara says that a lot of people tried to do like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, and they said, we're going to sit and learn and we'll wait for Hashem to put in direct deposit. And you know what? It's already 2,000 years, they're still waiting. They didn't get the direct deposit. But Harba also kid Rabbi Shmuel, the also beyadan. Some did like Rabbi Shmuel. They blended between learning Torah and going into an umnus, and they were successful. It says when Mashiach will come, everyone is going to do like Reb Shimon bar Yochai. There's going to be nothing to work. Why go to the office? And the prophet says, you're going to have tzoyin, you're going to have a business. It's tzoyin, it could be IT, it could be Microsoft, it could be Dell Computers, it could be whatever it is. Tzoyin was just an example that the prophet is giving. And maybe really you can have a farm with sign. Bottom line is, others are going to take care of your business. You're going to be able to sit and learn day and night.
And who were the others?
Who are the others?
Yeah.
The Gentiles they will take it as an honor for them to run the business for the Jew. V'gam Shabbos u'me'ein yom shekula Shabbos u'menucha. That says Maseches Tomich and Lechein Iker Eis G'yom Shabbos u'B'lim Torah Be'evin Teros u'Menaseh. Lahor Mahad B'Shabbos Ein Oimrim B'Tfilas Amida Yudches Brachas M'nei Kovet Shabbos V'Hainu Miyat B'Tfila Zayin Brachas V'Makam Chai Brachas V'Meiloi Safa B'Lim Torah Ki Yisa B'Yushalmi Loi Nitnu Shabbos Elo Lasik B'Torah V'Hayin Gamken Shulchan Aruch Rechem Sof Siman Reish Tzadik. Look in footnote 20. Achasudas Shabbos Kaiv Medrash Likra B'Neviim V'Lidush B'Divrei Haggadah Toilen Balabat Shenaiskem B'Torah K'Meshavu Yaska Yoysa B'Torah. The Alter Bereich Lo Nitnu Shabbos V'Im Tovim L'Yisrael Elke De Lask B'Torah Shekol Yemei Yisacholim Truda B'Malachim Elam Fnai Lask B'Kviz Shabbos and Pnum Malachim Yisrael Lask B'Koreh Lefikach. They have to spend more time in learning. Shulchan Aruch Hashem, look back in the bottom two lines. Shulchan Aruch Hashem Tamid Chachamim Marbin Tzaz V'Chil V'Shkir B'Shabbos V'Al Derech Hasiyas HaMitzvah Mitzvah Einik Shabbos. Hello. שגם אלו שתרוסם ומנוסם מפסיקים לעשיית מבצע. כמו שכוסף בירושלמי, ולא מועדי רשום וחייב שמפסיקים לעשות סוכה. So, נמצא שביום השבת שאין עסקים אומנס רק בתוירה, כמו לא עושה לא ורי כל ישרוע למגד את תרוסם ומנוסם, שיש גם צד פטור מנתפילו. In general, Shabbos, you can't go to the office, you can't work. Shabbos, Yoel, you get the last copy. It's on page 379. On Shabbos, I mean, even though in Chabad the whole thing of Shabbos is tefillah, but it's sukkah eating. But be'emes, In a perfect world, Shabbos is all about learning Torah. It's all about learning Torah. And the men, because of Shabbos, they're Teirosim Nosai, so they have a tzad k'tur from Tefillah. So therefore, Tefillah is not so much their thing in general, especially on Shabbos, especially b'yom shekul Shabbos HaMenorah. Shenkim noshim shebturis metal matoira, ein bem tzad pturis shel Tefillah. V'lechein ikir achiv denei Shabbos hareim is al Tefillah hu benoshim. So that's why the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash is primarily connected with male, and the Shabbos candle female. The menorah in the Beis Hamikdash is the idea of Torah. Man is obligated to learn Torah. A woman is more connected to Tefillah, especially on Shabbos. On Yom Shekuli Shabbos, the man should be spending all his time only learning Torah, and he takes a little break to eat. Why? Because it's just like Reb Shimon Bechai that would take a little break to build a sukkah. So you take a little break to eat on your, a jelly donut because that's part of the mitzvah. It's not because I'm enjoying a jelly donut. It's the mitzvah. This is all part of the mitzvah. But really, Shabbos is about Torah. So who's going to do the tefillah? Who's going to illuminate the world with tefillah? The women. Ner Chanukah is the third thing. That's echad anoshim echad noshim. Men and women are exactly equal. Shabbos daf chav gimel amad aleph. B'shas sham matam she'afei noi ba'yis hanes. V'chein l'inyan Megillah HaMenorah Megillah daf daled amad aleph. Noshim chiyavas v'mikra Megillah she'afei noi ba'yis hanes. Sham b'tois v'sh'af shanoshim tfeilas b'nes. B'gos Maimonides la'Rambam Hilchas Megillah Perik Aleph Aloch Aleph Kosid the Noshim Pturas Memikra Lakame Poiskim Verak Chayovim B'Shmiya. Tosis over there points out like this. Tosis says Af Hanoshim Chayovis. Why Af? I mean Af. Maza Af. Af means even. They're equal. Tosis says no, they're not equal. They're not equal. The men are more obligated to hear the Megillah than the women, and there is one opinion that says that that's why a man can read the Megillah, a woman cannot read the Megillah. Only a man can read the Megillah. Okay, even if that's not the halacha, but there is a strong opinion in the Agos Harmonious that holds that way. However, by Hanukkah, the Rebbe wants to say it's not that way. By Hanukkah, men and women are exactly equal. V'tzorichin, the Mishnei, Hanukkah b'purim amrim shafan ha'beis hanes, noshim em tfeilas, l'chur ha'poshet, ha'chiluk shebe, Purim l'das nal shenoshim tchiyavas rak b'shmiyas Megillah v'loy b'kriyos shalachin ichem l'hoitz acherim b'mikra Megillah in kechiluk zeh b'nei Chanukah. Kiven da'omer b'sha'ah b'shem b'pshitus isha vada madlike v'u gam l'hoitz acherim v'du midhid l'kchayre shoyta v'kota and lo yotza v'leklum delil minei shemaduber l'hoitz acherim v'kamon omer b'zeire merei shemishtatfina b'priti b'adu shpiz l'bosa d'nasi v'itis ulapamim shayisim me'achsanoi lil matoira Ulam madlika lai b'shvili b'goy b'soi b'beisi shemezeh muchid isha v'adai madlika ugam lahoitzi acherim nimtzu shebedin ner Chanukah shovim anoshim anoshim v'afa b'kei nemer haloshin af shem tveilus. The Rebbe is asking a question. He says the Tosfos says that Purim men and women are not exactly equal. They're both obligated, but men a little more. You know, we're all equal, but some are more equal than others. A little more, men are a little more obligated. But by Hanukkah, they're not a little more. That's exactly the same. How do we know they're exactly the same? Because the Gemara says that Abzeda said that when I travel, my wife is lighting for me. So they're not. So they're exactly the same. מה שאין כן בחנוכה יש פרוטים בני שיש רק בהם, כמו הוד הגוזר על בני סיים, כדפירי של העשיר ביד, so it's not true. Go back in the footnote 24. כשבנגיע לחנוכה כוסף רש"י writes, הויו בויסנס שגוזרו יבונים על כל הבסולס הנשואיס ליבול לתפסה תחילה. It was a very cruel thing that there used to be in the olden days in armies. Even now, you know, like in Africa, they have despicable practices. So they had such a thing that every woman that was going to get married has to spend the night with the tafsir. So when they get Purim, the story of Yehudis, right? When they get Purim, Ksiv Shafan Abayis and Shafan Noshim goes at Hom Lahashim Laharik Menar Badzok and Tavanoshim, Losh Bashinu Gamma Batokas Loshna Gamora, Shabadim Ramaskoshim Purim, Mighty Gamma Tebeshaf Hain, Chanaki Hishmit Afan, Matik Rakoyim Nes. In other words, in Purim, men and women were equal, but here, and by Hanukkah, there was something more egregious about the women. There was a thing, Exeda against the women. There was Exeda against the women. Now, we learned last year a tshuva that's brought in the Mishnah Brura from the Oile Shmuel that says that the women are less than the men. Why? Because there was Exeda on men that they're not allowed to do mitzvahs. So they're obligated to mitzvahs. The Exeda against a woman is karka oilam. She's not to blame if it's like someone killing someone. She did nothing wrong. So therefore, the women are less. We spoke about it last year. It's brought in Megillas Antiochus that the women are the ones that cooked up the rebellion. The women said that to the Maccabees, the family of the Hashmonaim, they said, "How could you allow that the Jewish woman should be violated?" So they said, "What should we do?" So the women said, "Well, we'll start a rebellion and we'll fight with you." So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe turns it on his head. The Oile Shmuel says, "See, the women were not obligated; they just made trouble." The Rebbe says, "The men were obligated to fight. They're trying to keep you away from doing mitzvahs. The women were being violated; they're not obligated to fight, but they had this purity in them to say, how could we allow Jewish women to be violated?" So that's why the whole miracle of finding pure oil was in their schus, because they started the rebellion because they wanted to keep the purity of the Jewish family. They made the rebellion according to Megillas Yochis. So the Rebbe says that the women are in a way more than the men in the story of important. The men and women are equal, but the Hanukkah, the women are more than the men. Be it as it may, the Rebbe has a problem.
If I go with the custom, women have a custom not to work during.
Yeah, we go very well with that custom. Yeah, even though the Mishnah Brura brings Dach to say that he doesn't understand where does this crazy minhag come from, but Lapoil, that's the minhag that the women don't do malacha when the candles are burning.
What's Megillah on the
And one of these Megillas that never ended up being stamped and sealed by a sage,
And-
but is whenever.
That's where we get the story.
Yeah.
Or say Maccabee?
How alive?
Sefer Maccabim, Antiochus, on and on. Okay, Kodesh.
Isn't it not that we can't rely on it 100%? It's not what's the reliability of it?
I don't know. You have to study how reliable, not reliable, but it doesn't mean they're not reliable. Just because our sages never took it in and signed and sealed it doesn't mean they're not reliable.
Josephus, he went over to the wrong. He left.
Oh, Yosefin is different. He was a turncoat. That's something else. But not every.
Who wrote?
It's a Shiloh who wrote. Let's go back to what we're doing now.
Isn't it because the Maccabees were Kohanim and they took
Yeah, maybe for that reason. Yeah, so they were.
that's what
Right.
the Klumen were.
They were not right, exactly. So, and bottom line is that Rebbe is asking, since men and women, when it comes to Chanukah, are equal, why does the Gemara say "Afein hoya bo'is," which the Lashon Af would mean to say that the women are less? So the Rebbe answers, "Oh, the Gamba Chanukah bar Afein mishigra de lishna de Purim, but tzarich laim b'Lashon HaTosos v'Megillah." So we have it's a little bit of a doich l'choyre teretz. It's already spoken about yesterday. Some sofer, Rav Doich Emes, that the Rebbe says it's a shigre delishna. Because by Chanukah we already said she'afein oy ba'is hanes. Also here we said afein, but really it's not that way. Kinei Chanukah in Yom Mitzvahs. V'zeh shechayom echad lanoshim echad noshim kamoi b'asiyas mitzvahs sheshneim shayach lebem. When it comes to mitzvahs, men and women are exactly equal. And therefore, Hanukkah candles, men and women, are exactly equal. Exactly equal. Okay, so summarize. Just it's a machshava that there's three types of candles, and we say Hashem is a candle, the Jew is a candle, the mitzvahs are a candle, and then in the mitzvahs that we have, there's three types of candle: the candle in the base of Mikdash, the candle of the menorah, and the candle of mitzvahs, ner mitzvah. So the menorah represents Torah, so that's the men are obligated to Rasam Nasam, so that's why they light that candle. The women represent Tefillah, because there's no tzad patur by woman. The woman idea is spiritual, Tefillah. So okay, so that's why they light the Shabbos candle. And when it comes to Hanukkah, which is mitzvahs, so men and women are exactly equal.
So this would go well with what we learned Sunday about women lighting.
Yes, it learns very well.
But
Yeah.
the Rebbe doesn't put it in halachic terms.
No,
This
no.
is Machshava.
Yeah, this is Mashal.
Tonight is Machshava.
Yeah.
We learned Sunday morning.
Exactly.
But it
yes,
certainly
it goes well.
It goes well.
It goes very well. Yes, it goes very, very well. What we're talking about Sunday in the halacha perspective. The yesh loise the beer inyan the Chanukah neiris beis hamikdash when the Shabbos by Fnach. Ner Chanukah in Yonei Torah. Neiris beis hamikdash when the Shabbos in Yonei mitzvahs. Yesh lovagam said the chiyum shtchila achiv the neiris beis hamikdash ba'ach from toisav achiv the ner Shabbos ba'ach from the toisav gam achiv the ner Chanukah. The tchilas neiris the beis hamikdash a mitzvah deiraisa sheyonim lahoyer b'makam hakedusha. The first obligation that the Jews got was the candles of the Beis Hamikdash, which is a mitzvah deraisa, but that gives you the power to bring light where in the Beis Hamikdash, Shamak Magdusha. There was a mitzvah derabbanon, which was Neir Shabbos, which came later. Shenyon elahor bebayis Yisraeli in the Jewish home. Sheish beigam and yon echoil. The Jewish home is not only a place of kedusha. There's also yon echoil. There's a box of matches. There's a computer in the house. Also, there's a cell phone in the house. I say just say that the candles of Shabbos is to bring shalom bayis. The whole idea of making shalom is to take opposites and to blend them together, to make cohesiveness. There couldn't be something more opposite than spiritual and physical. And the idea of shalom bayis is that in the Jewish home, there's a nice blend. That the Jew is, just like we said before in a Bishmal, he goes to work and he does it l'shem shamayim. He exercises to be healthy, to be able to do the mitzvahs and so on, that there's a blend of gashmis and ruchnis. Lachazman, after that, the last thing that came was Ner Chanukah. Presumably the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos came much before Ner Chanukah. Shenyona lahoyer b'chutz b'shus harabim gamke. That he has the power even to bring Kedusha into the Shus HaRabim. So the natives of the Beis HaMikdash, the power is to bring Kedusha in the Mokum HaMikdash. The power of Native Shabbos is to bring Kedusha also in a Jewish home, not only in a Mokum HaMikdash or Mikdash Miyat. And the power of the menorah is to bring light even to Pesach Beisim and Bachutz and the outside into the world where it's cold and dark at night. It's Shabbos Chanukah, and the Shabbos Chanukah is very important that tomorrow night that every one of us that we focus at the Shabbos meal on the menorah. You know, the Chabad, the custom is to sit next to the candles for a half hour. Friedrich Rebbe said to look at the candles because the candles are telling a story. So Friday night definitely is a beautiful time to focus with the family to tell the story. A few years ago in the L'chaim magazine, there was a story that someone heard from a first hand. There was a group of partisans that in the war, there was a group of apparently Jewish men, and there was also a whole bunch of Polish generals that lost against the Germans. They got together, even though they didn't like each other that much, but they worked together. They ran out of food once. They had no choice. They raided the town. They killed the Germans. They got plenty of food to bring back in the forest. And as they go back in the forest, they see someone on the ground, the Jew that they thought was dead. It turned out he was still alive. Well, so they picked him up, and he had he was an old man with a white beard. And the people said, "No, it's not worth to, just leave him there." But the Jews insisted that they want to save him. They brought him back to town. They got a doctor, take care of him, and the question was what to do. They'll leave him in town. I mean, he's going to be killed. So the Jews insisted they're taking him back. They said, "Well, he's going to be a cook. He'll cook. He can't go out to fight, but he could cook." After the war, things moved pretty quickly, and the Russians took big pieces of land, and all of a sudden, this group of partisans were behind the Russian line. First, people didn't really, get what was going on, but they realized that they're stuck behind the Iron Curtain. They wanted to leave. They were still, there were people that from the underworld, so they contacted people that knew how to skip the border, and they decided they're going to skip the border. Minus one person, the old rabbi, who they said they kept him alive. Huh?
The cook.
The cook. They said we kept him alive till now. He'll live. Whatever, it makes no difference. He can't do this trek. Dafka this time was a goy, a Catholic, that said no. Rabbi saved our lives. From when he joined our group, no one ever died. Everyone must agree. We're not leaving him behind. Okay. The plan was they were gonna go over the river, the Don River, which in this winter is frozen.
River Don.
Yes. And to get the other side, they're done. So apparently they had this thing that there were these budkas that the Russian guards were in. It was so cold, it wasn't possible to be without a budka. And a little house. Yeah, no, a little bigger than a booth.
A gold.
Yeah, and they had like a fireplace in there and a little kitchen. And they were told that the guard goes to the other. Every whatever that he walks for an hour and comes back an hour. He's patrolling the. So they were told where to go to lay low. When they see him leave his budka, they know they have 2 hours to get to the other side. It was a bitter cold night, and Taka, the Yid, this Kam, was able to schlep along, and they're laying on the ground, and they almost died from cold. When they saw the guard leaving his house, they all charged, and it was already 10 minutes, and he left, so they all charged into his house. So just to get warmed up a little bit, to steal some food, and then to keep on going. Everyone's warming up, everyone's mulling around, and the Yid, it was Chanukah, so he finds a candle, and he lights the candle, and he makes a broch. The group wants to eat him up alive, and they want to blow out the candle. He says, no, candle, you can't blow out the candle, it has to be a half hour, right? So we learned about it. Inami l'shiyuda. The shtat of the Briti, yeah. Mokim lino, mokim shino, mokim achila.
They definitely. You're not mechuyev from relighting if it goes out.
Right. All of a sudden, the Russian comes back. He couldn't believe it. There's a group of people in there. And he sees the old man, he screams, they should all pick their hands up. They were told that the Russian, the orders was, and if they catch people, they don't bring them to justice. They just kill them. They just shoot them and leave their bodies there. So he says, he walks over, and everyone picks up the hand besides the Yid, who didn't realize what was going on. He was bent over. And he walks over, and he sees the candle, and he says, yeah, Yivrei, I'm Jewish. He says, would you give me a blessing? The next Hanukkah, I'll be with my family. And the Rav says, yes, I give you a blessing. Next year, Mitzvah Shem, you'll make the bracha together with your family. He said, okay, the candle could stay here, and you guys will go with me. I'll show you exactly where to go. He took them over to the other side of the border safely. Everyone split. And Elio Hecht told the story to the L'chaim magazine. He said he heard it from the man at a Fabrengen in 770.
Old man.
Yeah. So you have a nice story if you'd like to share tomorrow night at your Shabbos table. David shall help, that every one of us should be able to look at the candles, and we should hear the message that the candle is telling us, and we should be able to take it into us, the message that the Hanukkah candles are giving us.
Amen.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
California, San Francisco, or Lomita.
Somewhere on the West Coast.
Down here.